Katrina here from Pilates Together, and this is 7 stretches you can do in 7 minutes. My goal with this video is to give you a quick recovery stretch that you'll actually be motivated to do when you finish your ride. This video is geared towards cyclists, but this stretching routine would work for any kind of lower body cardio exercise. Now, you probably know a lot of the stretches I'm going to go over today, but my goal is to give you the form to help you maximize the benefit of the stretches. So let's start by going over our pelvic positioning. I want to teach you a little standing pelvic tuck and tilt. So start by opening your feet nice and wide, bending your knees a little bit, and putting your hands on your hips. And then do this little forward and backward motion with your pelvis. This is called a tuck and tilt. So if I go into this position, I've tucked my tail between my legs. You'll notice I've tilted my pelvis backwards. My fingertips are higher than my thumbs. If I go this way, I've tilted my tail up in the air, my fingertips are lower than my thumbs, and I've tilted my pelvis forward. So just remember these two positions. I'll be referencing them as we go through the stretching routine. And you should hopefully feel a difference in the stretch. Now, I'm going to use my tower pole today. If you've just finished your ride, hopefully you have a post or a bench or something you can hold on to for balance. And let's get started. I'm going to start with a calf stretch. So right foot is back, forward, left foot is back. My back heel should be all the way down on the floor. If you can't get that heel down, step your feet a little closer together. If you need a deeper stretch, step them farther apart. Make sure your back heel is absolutely parallel. We have a tendency to rotate it in. If you've done that, rotate it out. After the calf stretch, moving into a hip flexor stretch. So lift your back heel, bend both knees so you have equal weight between front and back leg, and then go into that pelvic tuck that we just practiced. So think of lifting the front of your hips up towards your nose, and just by changing the position of your pelvis, you should feel a deeper stretch through the front of your hip here. We'll hold each position for about 30 seconds. From here, moving into a quad stretch. We all know this one. So shift the weight forward onto your front leg, reach back, grab the front of the ankle or the foot, and then pull that heel in towards your butt. Now I want you to notice that your knees are side by side, and then again, just like we did on that hip flexor stretch, think of lifting the front of your hips. So I'm tucking my tail and thinking of lifting the front of my hips up towards my nose. Now, little modification here. If you can't bend your knees, if you've had a knee replacement, any kind of knee issue, and you can't flex your knee really deeply, I want you to take a towel or a strap. You can place that over the front of the foot or ankle, make a little hammock for your foot, and now just let your foot rest there. You don't have to pull it up. Just pull it up as much as you can, and then move the knee backwards, and you will get a deeper stretch. You should find that quad stretch if you're thinking of lifting the front of your hips. So that's just a little modification note. From here, let's move into a little glute stretch. I call this a figure 4. So cross the ankle of the leg you were just stretching over your standing leg thigh. And if you have something to hang off of, you're going to sit and lean all of your weight off of that post, the back of that bench, whatever you have. Now, opposite to the hip flexor stretch, I'm thinking of tilting my pelvis forward. So pulling this sits bone back, really sticking my booty out, and just by changing the position of your pelvis, you should feel a deeper stretch. And now we move into a hamstring stretch. I'm going to prop my leg up on something. So hopefully you have a low surface, maybe 12 to 18 inches high off the ground that you can prop your leg up on. I'm really picky about this one, so let's go over the hamstring stretch. First, relax your foot. You already stretch your calf. So if you flex your foot, you will just move into a calf stretch if your calves are tight. Release the foot. Make sure the front of your hip bones are square. Usually you have to pull the stretching leg hip back and the standing leg hip forward. Now from here, just stand up really tall and think of pulling that sits bone back on the stretching leg, and you should already feel a 2-directional pull along the back of your thigh. If you need a deeper stretch, and only if you don't feel a stretch here, I want you to come forward with a flat back. So no rounding over, no hunching. Hinge forward by sticking your butt out. Alternately, you can lift the leg up onto a higher surface. We'll go over that again on the other side because I'm really picky, but first, let's start the whole thing again. So lower body sequence, starting with the calf stretch. My right foot is back, my left foot is forward. Again, the back heel is down and parallel. Make sure you're not gripping your hips here, pushing your butt forward, squeezing your hips. Just let your pelvis rest in a nice neutral position. Into the hip flexor stretch. So I lift the back heel, bend both knees. Think of tucking the tail, lifting the front of the hips, moving into that deep stretch through the front of the hip. Really important one to do if you've just been cycling, you've just done a ton of flexing at the hip. And then right into our quad stretch, so shifting the weight forward onto that front leg, reaching back with that back hand. Remember, you can always modify by using a strap or a towel. Even if you're not modifying, if you think of tucking, lifting the front of the hips, and then trying to move that knee back as far as you can, you will deepen the stretch. Make sure those knees are together, as close together as they can be. And then figure 4 stretch. On this side, I'll show it seated. So you have an option to do it sitting. Just cross the leg, the same leg you were just stretching, over the other thigh. And I'm still thinking of doing a flat back, of rotating my pelvis forward and hinging from the hips so I'm not just hunching over. Moving the sits bones back so you create, again, that 2-directional pull. This is a nice supported way to stretch the glutes. And then standing up for my hamstring stretch on this side. So now my right leg is up. Little checklist. Foot is relaxed. We're not stretching the calf. Hips are nice and square. I'm going to pull my right hip back, my left hip forward. Stand up really nice and tall. And then think of sticking the booty out a little bit. Definitely pulling this right sits bone back. And then only if I can, keep my flat back do I deepen the stretch by coming forward. And breathe. Standing up nice and tall. If you lean forward, take that foot down. So we just did the lower body. We're going to work on the back a little bit. If you've been cycling, you've been in this position for 1, 2, 3, 4, however many hours you've been on your bike. So it's really good to get the back moving in the opposite direction and also in some lateral movement because you've just been moving in a forward plane. So let's start with a lateral spine stretch. Have your feet nice and wide, hands on your hips, reach your right arm up to the sky, and then take a big side bend. Think of really plugging that right foot down into the ground. Come back up and switch. Big inhale, exhale, big side bend. Think of reaching that left foot into the ground. So I'm not holding each side for 30 seconds. Think of holding it for just a few seconds on each side. We'll do 2 to 3 side stretches in each direction. Keep breathing. Getting a nice stretch through the underside of the shoulder, through the lats, through the obliques, and maybe even a little bit in the IT band and the outer hip. I'll do one more time to the left. And come on up. Now we'll finish with one of my favorites. I call it the 80s mom jeans stretch. So bring your arms back to the small of your back, like you're putting your hands in 80s mom jeans pockets. Think of pulling your elbows back towards each other. Your hands are here to support your back. So from here, a little back bend, just opening the chest, lifting the chin slightly, and then a little bit of abdominals to come back up. So you can make this a really gentle stretch if you want. Make sure your hands are supporting the small of your back. And just think of lifting your chest, pulling those elbows back. It's a nice stretch through the front of the chest, through the pectorals. Good stretch for the low back. And come back level. And you can deepen this if you want to, but I suggest squeezing the glutes. So if you want to go into a deeper back bend, just squeeze your butt a little bit to support your low spine. Think of pressing your hips forward. And then chin to chest, use the abdominals to slowly, gently come back up. Blow your arms down by your side. Give them a little shake. Take a nice breath. And you just did it. 7 stretches in 7 minutes. That was quick and easy, right? I think you can do that after each ride. So thank you so much for watching. I have a little extra credit video if you want to stretch for a little longer. Otherwise, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Hit that button below. And there's a link in the description if you're not already getting my emails. Make sure you subscribe to my email list. Until then, happy riding. Bye.